The latest twist in that Two and a Half Men controversy, Angus T. Jones set off a firestorm when he called the show Filth and told fans not to watch it. But now he's apologizing to his fellow stars and the show's producers. The big question, will he keep his job? And ABC's Cecilia Vega has more on that.
I'm on Two and a Half Men. I don't want to be on it. Please stop watching it.
When Angus T. Jones, one of the stars of the hit show Two and a Half Men, recorded this religious rant, lambasting his own sitcom,
Please stop filling your head with filth.
It's hard to imagine he could have predicted the backlash.
A Two and a Half Men star in hot water.
Brainwashed? Exploited?
But this morning, after international headlines and millions of views online, the young man who recently joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church is now saying, "I'm sorry. I apologize if my remarks reflect me showing indifference to and disrespect of my colleagues," Jones says in a statement. "I never intended that." But many in Hollywood now wonder if this new apology is too little, too late.
People will see us and be like, oh, I can be a Christian and be on a show like Two and a Half Men. You can't.
The man sitting next to Jones in that YouTube sensation, Christopher Hudson, a Seventh-day Adventist who runs an online ministry called the Forerunner Chronicles.
I've never watched Two and a Half Men.
Hudson's been described as Jones's spiritual mentor, though he admits he only recently met the actor.
The Spirit would never tell him to stay on the show. That show is not teaching all truth, it's teaching lies.
But others accuse Hudson of doing just that.
That's not faith at its best. It's exploitative.
Warner Brothers, which produces Two and a Half Men, isn't talking, but one of the former men is.
I thought you said he got dumped.
Charlie Sheen played Jones's uncle until he was very publicly fired in his own spat with producers last year. Now the star of Anger Management, Sheen is reportedly calling Two and a Half Men cursed, telling ABC News overnight, "My former nephew is welcome at the Good Son Anger Management home anytime." As for Jones's future on Two and a Half Men, he isn't expected to be back on the set until next year. Because while Jones joined a new church, his character Jake went off and joined the Army.
Jake?
For Good Morning America, Cecilia Vega, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And for more now, we are joined by actor Stephen Baldwin. He's been an outspoken proponent of his faith in Hollywood ever since becoming a born-again Christian. Stephen, thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Amy.
And when you hear what Angus Jones said in that tape piece, and then you see the tremendous backlash he's receiving for speaking out publicly, are you surprised by that reaction?
Not really. If you're really kind of asking the wrong guy here, because if you ask me, it just sounds like Angus is having an authentic experience with the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's a serious thing. A real, true walk of Christianity is very difficult, quite radical. It seems to me he was a young man when he started, and now he's kind of coming into his own, and he's connected with this pastor, and now he's just kind of, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. He's kind of didn't mean to sound the way he did, but I still think it's admirable that he's sticking up for what he believes in.
And yet we hear from Angus's mother, who's also spoken out, saying that she fears her son may be, this church may be exploiting him. And specifically, this pastor, his spiritual advisor, Christopher Hudson, has said some fairly controversial things recently. So when you're 19 years old, how do you know, because especially when you're a public figure, that you're not being exploited?
Well, I met Angus recently and got to spend a little time with him just within a political scenario, and I think he knows exactly what he's doing. Again, he meant to probably have it come out differently. He didn't want to offend Chuck Lorre or any of the people from the show or be disrespectful, but I think he authentically means what he says, where he finds now, if you hold up the content of his show to the Bible, what he's saying is, now there's a conflict for me.
Well, does an actor have to quit a role if it conflicts with his beliefs?
That depends on the actor. Listen,
You've chosen not to take roles.
Listen, I'm getting ready to direct 2 or 3 movies next year that are faith-based films. I'm kind of full-blown faith-based right now, and that's just where I'm at in my walk of Christianity. But let me tell you something. Isn't it weird that as a Christian, I had a casting director come up to me 2 years ago and say, "I'm really sorry because I've brought your name up in castings for a while now," and they all just look at me like I'm crazy.
Well, is it possible to be successful in Hollywood and be an outspoken Christian?
Sure doesn't seem like it, now does it?
What advice do you have for Angus?
Well, listen, he's in the last season of the show. I think he's being very respectful now. I think he ought to walk his walk and stand up for what he believes in and finish out the season and go about his business.
Well, we want to mention, Stephen, that you also work to promote breast cancer research through the Carol M. Baldwin Breast Cancer Research Fund, named for your mother, a breast cancer survivor. So we want to let everyone know that they can learn more about the fund and head to goodmorningamerica.com on Yahoo. Stephen, thanks for being with us and sharing your personal insights. We appreciate it.